Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unleash Her. I'm Roberta, and I am your host for the podcast today. And I'll tell you what, I have an awesome guest here today that I cannot wait to introduce to you. But first of all, do me a huge favor and go ahead and subscribe and like to this podcast because the more interaction that we have, the most amazing um, guests that I can have on the show. So thank you so much in advance. And I cannot wait to introduce you to my dear friend, Betsy Papine. Hi, Betsy.
Hi, Roberta. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
So happy to be here. Excited.
I am so glad that you're here. And, we just met a few minutes ago, had a little conversation, getting to know each other. And I don't like to dive too far into it because I like to have this raw and real and just have a little conversation. I want people to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am in Florida. I'm a serial entrepreneur in all things real estate. So whether it's brokerage, property management, title, mortgage, real estate school, that anything to do with real estate, I absolutely love and passionate about. I also have a nonprofit which addresses the at-risk families in our region. We have a really high population of what we call cost burden families where, the median income has not risen nearly as much as the median housing prices across the country. But in our particular area, it's really critical. And so we have a lot of families who cannot get into housing. So we have a nonprofit that serves those people who would never utilize our services through the front door, and we help them get housing, help them build housing. We have an alliance with Habitat for Humanity, and we work alongside the families and get them houses. So that's what I do. And I'm a single mom of two daughters who I absolutely adore. One lives 3 streets down from me, and one lives in Australia.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And two dogs.
And two rescue dogs right beside me. Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. So you have built this company. You have your hands in everywhere, but not just that. Then you started your life again. It sounded like in your 40s or something. Please share with us.
Yes. Well, I started my life again twice. Once when
Mhm.
I was 31, I was 31 and my daughters were 1 and 2, and I found myself suddenly single and laid off from my corporate job. I was in the pharmaceutical industry. I'd been in the pharmaceutical industry for a decade. Um, and that was really difficult. I wasn't expecting either of those things. And at the time, my life really consisted of my marriage, my children, and my job. And when you're sitting on a three-legged stool and two of the legs go out, you land on the floor rather quickly. And I really did. I literally moved home. And when I say moved home, I moved back into my childhood bedroom. And my daughters were in my sister what were my sister's bedrooms growing up, just to really regroup and figure out what am I going to do. And that took about 6 months for me to feel grounded and able to have a plan for moving forward. And I did feel like at that time, universe, God, source, whatever, was guiding me into a different direction. I wasn't doing what I was passionate about. And so that's when I pivoted into real estate. Um, but now fast forward, I was probably 34, 35 when I got into real estate. Now I'm 56, um and I like it. But I am now doing also other things. And one of the things is I wrote a book. And the book came from a place of, having been in real estate for over 20 years and feeling like I had checked off all the boxes of what society tells us is success. And, I had great kids. I had so blessed in my businesses, but I was not happy. And it took me a good year to even admit that to myself because I didn't feel like I had the right to be unhappy. I think you see so much around, and I know especially when you leave our country, and I've traveled a lot. I mean, we are blessed to be here. So I didn't feel like I had the right to be unhappy. But once I got real and said, no, I really am unhappy. I'd like to fix this. I went on a journey of exploring why that might be. And through a variety of different modalities, meditation, yoga, therapy, bioenergetic work, um, a whole host of things. What I saw, the theme that kept showing up for me was this feeling of confinement in my life. Um, I equate it to, if you've ever had the misfortune of ordering a bed mattress from Amazon, it shows up on your doorstep in a box. And I remember the first time I did that, I have rentals and I did that. And so I'm like, they must have sent me the wrong thing. Surely the bed mattress isn't in this box. I lug the box inside, I pull off the tape, and then lo and behold, 2 days later, I've got this mattress in my living room that's expanded to the size it was meant to be. But I felt like I was that mattress in that box. And, so confined by what society, my family of origin, my gender, my industry, my religion, just, I mean, in myself. I mean, I'm not a victim. I mean, just we get it from so many different sources. And I just felt like I wasn't me. I was just conforming to what I thought I was supposed to be. So when I discovered that, I started writing these stories and sharing them, and other people would share their stories with me. And I realized this is a universal theme, and a lot of people are stuck in those boxes and they don't know how to get out. So that is why I wrote the book. If I thought if I could help, my whole mission in life is to improve and empower the lives of people, women and children in particular. I thought if I could just impact one life by writing the book, it would have been worth it. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 8 months is wrote the book, going on podcasts. I just recorded a course that's kind of ancillary to the book.
Wow. Okay. We have been on the same journey. You are my sister. We are soul sisters. I swear. Everything you just said.
Oh,
We are on the same mission. And that's why I love this.
oh,
And I'm so proud of you and everything you've done.
oh. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Wow. We've been on similar journeys, but yeah, you really took it to the next level. I got to tell you.
Oh,
And you came out of it fast. I stayed in the in the dungeon for
oh.
too long.
Mm.
How did you so that's my question, and how everybody's like, how did you do that? Like, how did you what do we want to call like a new mindset and all of the
Mm.
things that you did? And I also
Mm.
read this, and I'm not for sure what this is, the EMDR.
Mhm.
And 8 months. Could you do all this in 8 months? I'm
Oh,
so
no, 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 no. So, okay, let me back up. Sorry if I misspoke. The book came out. You talking about the book and all of the work? Yeah, the book came out in September. It took me a year to write, and then a year to, after that, it took another year to get it out. So, and then before that, that was my journey. So it's been a while, and it took a
okay.
while. It didn't take just 8 months.
The
Um,
last the book was released in when?
September of 24,
In
but it
September.
took a year.
Mhm.
After I was finished, it took a year to get published.
For
So, and
sure.
it took me a year to write. So it was not a quick process by any means.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So in terms of how did I get there? I mean, I am somebody who's sadly patience is not a virtue of mine. And so I do, once I identify a problem and admit it to myself, I'm very much a go-getter and fact finder and okay, how are we gonna solve this? So I think that's kind of what I did. Yeah, I do that in my business life, and I think I did that in my personal life. Is just I kind of did that when I was in my 30s. Like how do you build a life? That was my journey then, because nobody really teaches you how to build a life. It's so interesting to me. We have all this schooling, and it's nobody teaches you how to build a life. Usually, especially in high school and even in college, you don't learn how to manage money, and you don't know how to you don't not learn how to relate to people. So it's the three skills that I think are so critical to a fulfilling life. Our formal educational system is void of. So I've just kind of attack it on my own through just reading, and I did go to therapy this past time to help me because I get coached a lot in my business. Well, I need a coach in my life. Why not? Why do I have to reinvent the wheel? Surely these therapists can help me uncover things more
Yes.
quickly. So.
Yes, exactly. Same here.
Yeah.
We do so much professional education. And when you bring that together with that personal development, well, you're
Mhm.
unstoppable.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And we're the same age.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
so do you I say I'm just getting started.
That's what I feel like. People are retiring. I'm like, I feel like I have literally just started. Yeah, that's funny.
Yes, there's so yeah, because once you write the book and start doing things, you're like, oh, now
Hmm.
I want to do this and
Hmm.
that and
Hmm.
everything else. And so yeah, so what about you? Like, now you've got the book and you're working on helping others and
Hmm.
mentoring and coaching others,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, yes, that's my passion. Even in my business, I mean, I'm in the business of real estate, but I'm not. I'm really in the business of helping people, and that's like my mission is to improve and empower lives. Whether it's my agents' lives, I mean, I teach financial peace because I don't believe a lot of people get financial education in the formal school system. And so, in our company, we teach financial peace classes. I actually go also and help recently released female prisoners and teach them financial skills because that's again something that is not being taught. And how can you set yourself up for success if you don't even know how to manage your budget? So, and that's what I love about actually just a total tangent, but that's what I love about aligning with Habitat because Habitat is a hand up, not a handout. And so for these cost burden families to get a home, they have to buy the home. It's not we're not giving them a home. They have to purchase it. They also have to work 240 hours helping us build the house. And they have to go through education on how to manage a household budget, how to maintain a home, like repairs and maintenance wise, because most of them have never owned a home. And so we really are teeing them up for success. And so that's what I'm trying to do in my life.
Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's go back to your upbringing. I know that the school didn't teach that, but
Hmm.
did you have a good, stable home?
Yeah.
Is that where you learned, confidence? Unleash Her is about confidence. It's about finding your
Hmm.
confidence in who you are, your purpose, your authentic self.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I know it's a journey,
Yeah.
but did you have that baseline?
Yeah. So in my household growing up, I had a wonderful family life. My parents are still married. They're 80. They're both turning 84 this year. Um, so they didn't sit down and teach us finances, but they modeled it. So we lived in a debt-free home. I thought we grew up poor. I really did because they would always, sit down and say, "Hey, money's tight, money's tight." Now I look back and I'm like, "Oh, we were fine," but I didn't. We lived very under our means, and now I appreciate that because that's how I live, and I don't. I'm very blessed. I don't have to worry about money because I do live below my means, and it's just how I've always been. That was how I was raised, and that's how I've lived. So that's kind of where that came from. The confidence, it's interesting because in my home, confidence was high. I'm one of three girls, and I think that helped. I really do because there was no like gender issues. I mean, it wasn't like the guy mows the lawn and the women clean the house. I mean, we kids did everything. We did the lawn and the house. So we were just brought up to believe that we could do, and my parents would say, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And I remember my mom, there was a poster in the hallway at the stairwell. We had a two-story house, and at the top of the stairwell, there was a poster my whole childhood that there was a girl that looked like us. My sisters and I are all brunettes. And it looked just like us. It wasn't, but it was a girl, and on the top it just said, "I believe in me." And I saw that poster 10 times a day going up and down the stairs. And and being in the house that I was in, it just was a given. But I feel like where, you don't get everything. And so I feel like where we struggled is um, high self-confidence, low self-worth.
Ooh.
So, and that's what I've really worked on. And my parents meant well, they're great. They really wanted the best for us, but they weren't modeled that in their own childhoods, but all about managing your emotions and respecting your emotions, and they count. I was in a very cerebral home where it's what do you think? what do the facts tell you? Emotions are unreliable, they're fleeing, they're wrong. Don't say that. That's the wrong way to feel. Go to your room. So I really, as an adult, struggled with even honestly recognizing what I was feeling because I was so used to bypassing negative emotions and just go to, okay, Betsy, what do the facts tell you? And that's been a whole journey in and of itself, is really getting in touch with that side of me and just feeling um, self-worth. Just I don't have to do, it's not based on anything I produce, but that I'm worthy just by being here.
Yeah. And so how about your daughters? You've passed that along.
Yeah. Well, I learned all this after they had left the house, which really was sad to me. I mean, I was so upset because I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I was very good about the I didn't care what they produced. Like that was that part. I remember the girls were in kindergarten and first grade, and I had said to myself, what is the goal here? The parenting goal. And for me, it was I wanted independent, um, independent children who were happy with their life and that were positive impact in society. But I didn't care about grades. I didn't care about them looking perfect. Like my one daughter, I said I'm not going to fight the whole attire battle. So I let them dress themselves from the time they were born. I mean, till the time they could choose clothing. My kids looked, ridiculous at times. Two different pairs of shoes, princess dresses to school. My one daughter wore a tiara for an entire year, and mothers would look at me. But I'm so glad because they have like the one that my one daughter, she was a seamstress. She, was in fashion design. She went to the Parsons School up in New York. Like that's how she expressed herself. And had I been like, no, you have to wear this and this and this, because my mother told us what we were wearing, that would have just squelched her creativity. So I didn't do that. What I didn't do as well though is I didn't understand the importance of feelings. And so we never talked about them because I didn't have that skill yet. And I remember my therapist showed me a feelings wheel, and I never seen it. And it's like a color wheel, and it's you because my first day of therapy, she's like, how do you feel? I said, oh, I feel good. She's like, well, what other emotions do you feel? And like I froze, and I'm like, well, sometimes I feel bad. And she's like, okay, great. And what else? And I could not come up with another adjective. I was, you know, I felt like I was in kindergarten. So she showed me this feelings wheel, and you start out at good and bad, and then it's like, okay, bad. Is it sad? Is it angry? And then it goes into, okay, if you're sad, is it this or this? And then if it's this, then you go further and further, and you drill further and further down. So you really understand the nuances of all these emotions that you might be feeling. Because once you can name it, you can own it and address it. And so I immediately called my daughter in Australia because I wanted to share it with her because I was so worried that they didn't have this critical knowledge. She snaps a photo and sends it to me while we're talking. And literally, it's a picture of her, and behind her is a framed picture of the feelings wheel. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, where did you find that? And she said her roommate had it. And she said it's the best thing she's ever discovered. And I was like so joyous that okay, I didn't learn it, but she learned it, so that was beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of the same because allowed my children to choose their clothes, and my daughter wore a princess dress, I swear, for a year with the tiara, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We'd get
great.
the looks. I didn't think anything about it because, she wore it all the time.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
okay. This is amazing. And I, so this led to, how did you have the idea? Like, I'm going to write a book. Was it
Oh,
when you were just going through all this and you see this box and this mattress and is this then you're like, I got to share this information.
Yeah, no, I wish it was that way. No, so
Mm.
I'm a big believer of vision boards. They've always worked for me. And so I always have a vision board up and things that I want to manifest in my life. Sometimes it's in a year, sometimes it's in 5 years, but it's there. So a goal of mine had always been to write a book. And so I had a picture of Amazon bestseller. They have a logo. So I had that logo on my vision board for years. I assumed when I wrote that down, when I put it on my vision board, that it was going to be a book about real estate, a how to about building a real estate team, selling real estate, investing in real estate, something along those lines, some kind of business book. I never dreamed it would be, well, we discussed before the airing that I'm an introvert. I never dreamed it would be a book about my personal life because I'm so private. And but when I went through this experience, it was like a no-brainer. I'm like, this is a challenge. Like writing a book on how to do real estate to me would not have been a challenge. I do it every day. It just would have been literally I would be checking off a checkbox, right? And but this was a creative challenge. It was an emotional challenge. I've never felt so vulnerable. So it just filled so many things I was looking to, I always like to grow, and I just felt like this I have to say yes to. This would make me feel um like I to be able to share what I went through in the hopes of helping others in my personal life, which is so different than in your professional life. Just I knew how much that would mean to me. So that's why I ended up writing the book. But it
And
was not the idea of the book came years before realizing it was going to be a personal book.
wow. Oh, that's really cool.
Mhm.
Okay. So are there other books, do you think, that will come?
I don't know. I know I think so. The book that I wrote is very story based. It's a stories of my life and the different times that I felt like I was in these boxes, and kind of like a before where I didn't even recognize that I was in a box, but I was uncomfortable. Then a period where I'm like, oh, I think something's going on here. And then kind of an after where, okay, I recognize the box. I'm going to call it out and I'm going to exit it gracefully because it's no longer serving me. A lot of people since I released the book have said, great, how do I do that for myself? And that's why I did the course. But I think that if I were to write a second book, it would be it would be a how-to book on getting yourself out of boxes. There's a little bit of that in my book, but I would make it the focus of my next book.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I like that. So you
Yeah.
better start jotting down everything that you want to go in there already, huh?
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
So what do you so then what do you love to do? You love I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer that for you. So you've done the real estate thing.
Yes.
Like we were talking before the airing,
Yes.
we have the things that we're good at. Like
Yes.
I work in a hair salon. I've been working in a hair salon doing hair for 38 years. And yeah, I'm good at it and it's
Yeah.
natural. But there's other things that I'm transitioning to
Yes.
and you as well.
Yes. So I'm doing a lot of podcasts this year. I've started public speaking, which I really enjoy. So I see myself doing more of that. Um, I will probably write the book. Um, and real estate will always be a part of my life, but it used to be everything, and it's no longer everything. I feel like I have now different things I want to explore as well. I'm also really into art. I don't know if you can see I love art,
Oh.
and I'm not good. I'm not, I mean, I've always loved art. I've gone to art retreats. I've taken my girls on art retreats. I study it online, but I wouldn't call myself an artist. Although last week I was at a conference and a guy said he had decided to have three identities this year, and for him it was he's in insurance and it was something to do with insurance, and I don't remember what the second one was, and the third one is he wants to be a musician, and it was the same thing in terms of his journey. He was about on the same path as I, and he's declaring himself a musician. So I told the group that I'm now an artist, and so I'm trying to get used to that identity of being an artist, because I do believe that's when true conversion comes, is when you truly embrace the identity of what you want to be, and then the pieces start falling into place. Like the author, like I did feel like I was an author before I wrote the book. The artist is kind of my next nut to crack in terms of that.
That's awesome. And you nailed it. We must study the same things. Although you mentioned a book earlier that I have not read, um, Quiet.
Quiet by Susan Cain. Life-changing for introverts and even for
Yeah.
extroverts so that you can understand introverts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same journey here, and I love that. And it is about your identity and who do you want to be.
Mhm.
And so it's taken me, so I've had a book out for a few years, and so I'm still doing book signings, all of that. And it was difficult for me to identify myself as an author.
Oh, interesting. Even after you wrote the book?
Hmm.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I forgot.
wow.
I'm like, why am I not telling people this? So so when you notice something like that, then you like, okay, let me evaluate this.
Yeah.
Why was I not doing that?
Hmm.
So there's a little bit to that when you say.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
So when people ask you, "Oh, no, you're a serial entrepreneur."
Yeah.
Do you say that to
Yeah.
people when they ask you? Or what do you
Yes.
say? What do you do?
I'm a serial entrepreneur in real estate and also an author.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I used to
Yeah.
say, years ago, I used to say I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
I don't want to be niched just in real estate.
Right.
Um, Barbara Corcoran is a mentor of mine. She's a lovely woman, just lovely. I'm very blessed to have this relationship. And she did that when she left. So she built her real estate empire up twice in New York City, then sold it. Well, gave it to her first husband, sold it to the second one, or sold her a second one. And then she had to rebrand herself at the age of 60. So she got herself on Shark Tank and she totally rebranded herself into a businesswoman, not somebody just known for real estate. So yeah, and I do definitely, I've been saying that now for probably 3 years, and I truly identify with that. Yeah.
Yeah. That is good. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Um,
How do you introduce, you don't introduce yourself clearly as an author. I lost sound. Roberta, I lost sound. Hmm. I can't, can you hear me? Yeah, you suddenly went out. Hmm. I mean, the only thing I could do is I could call you and we could talk on we have the video, but we could finish on the phone. I don't know how that works. I can't hear you.
yeah, so little glitch in the microphone there. No big deal. It's raw and real here. We were talking about identifying yourself, your identity, and how I do not or did not identify myself as an author until I tell you what, something happened just recently. And I said, it was so strange what happened. I said, from now on, I am going to start identifying myself as an author. Like, why?
Love
Two and
it.
a half years later, after writing that book.
Was it that it wasn't important to you, or you didn't feel like you could own that? Like that was somebody else, that wasn't you.
Yeah, I think that was it
Mm.
because I was like, why am I not owning up to this?
Right.
So I think it was like all stepping into that. You know how when you're studying yourself and your identity and everything and just being that consciousness, being that person.
Yeah,
So I finally am like, yes,
I
I
love it.
am her.
Yes, I love it. In fact, before I owned the word author, because I thought, okay, I was like, what exactly is an author? Because I really wanted to own the name. I wanted to own that. So I put on my profiles that I was a writer because I was writing. So like at least I could claim that. So then it was a very natural transition to be able to say author when I actually got it published. Okay, then I'm like, okay, now I'm an author. So for me, it was just a natural stepping stone.
Yeah. I bet your girls are and your family, they're so proud of you.
I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know. I really don't know. I do think in retrospect, when I got divorced, I was petrified. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm raising two girls. Like I was so worried. But I think as much as it would have been nice to have been raised in a traditional home,
mhm.
I think it really helped them. They are so independent and they have such great confidence. And I think it was a direct result because I am so not the person I was when I was married in my 20s. And so I feel like that was a blessing is that they got to be in the home and see somebody who wouldn't, could do anything that she set her mind to. And I think that they absorbed that and now own that, which is great.
Yeah, I was the same too. And I wish that there would have been something like, like we were saying, I wish there was something more in our schools
Mhm.
about just real life.
Mhm. It's crazy.
I have to tell you, the advice that I had received was go find you a good man.
Oh, wow.
Hmm. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Find that person
Mhm.
that's going to do those things, and I'm going
Yeah.
to be, I guess, the homemaker. And it's kind of funny because I did that, but I also worked a little bit while
Hmm.
the kids were little, but I always had the desire to write a book.
Oh, neat. And did you know what it was going to be about?
No, yes, I know, but that didn't pan out. But you never know, that may be coming up. It was a children's book, actually, too.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
neat.
yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice.
So it was so interesting, and I shared that with someone, and they laughed in my face. Basically,
Oh.
I had no confidence whatsoever anyway, and so this time around, even writing a book, people were like, do the people still read books? And
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what? Okay, and this is when you say, Betsy, I need to talk to some different people. I
Yes.
need different people in
Yes.
my tribe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So is that one thing that you've had to do too, is just take a look at who am I surrounded by? Are they
Yeah.
encouraging me or
Yeah. So another great book is Dr. Henry McLeod's Necessary Endings. And it talks about um, so whenever we move outside of a box, and I mean he doesn't talk about this, but I believe whenever we move outside a box, you're going to ruffle feathers. Change, people are uncomfortable with change. They don't, people are threatened by it, they don't approve of it, they don't agree with it, whatever. And they're not, the energy levels are going to shift. So I think people who are moving out of boxes have to be prepared for that. We're social creatures, so we need to shore up social connections for our future self and be okay understanding that there are going to be relationships that serve their course and they are complete. It's okay. It's not like the word divorce. It's the relationship completed itself. It served its purpose for both parties. Now we're going to move forward in a new direction. And Dr. Henry McLeod talks about necessary endings. And I love that because I think absolutely there's going to be some necessary endings, but some beautiful new beginnings as well.
yeah. I Bob Proctor was one of my mentors.
Oh, wow.
And so he would say, okay, listen, there are some people in your life that you might not have to totally cut them out, but especially if they're family,
Mhm.
but he would say, but just don't stay as long.
I like that.
But if it's starting to weigh
Right,
you down and you
right,
don't feel inspired, then you just don't spend as much time with those people.
right. Love it. Yeah, set some
Yeah.
boundaries. Yeah, love it.
Yes, exactly. Aw. Well, thank you so much for being on here today and sharing everything with
Oh,
us.
my pleasure.
And I apologize for their little glitch in the microphone today.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries.
This is life. This is real.
Yeah,
I've learned that it's your reaction
yeah,
to things too.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
could have gotten so upset and been like, oh my God, I can't
Right.
believe this is happening. And I was like, oh, okay, hold
Yeah,
on. Let's pause
yeah,
it. Let's go find
Yeah.
unplug the microphone and move on. So thank you for that
Yes.
and for being so patient and everything. And is there anything else that you want to share?
No, if people want to connect with me or communicate with me, I'm on all the social channels at my name, Betsy Papine. And I also have a website, betsypapine.com, where you'll find more information about me, where I'm speaking. I have a newsletter, my book is there, and I have a course that's coming out that will also be available there.
Yes, that we need to watch out for, guys. That's going to be a good course. I can feel it already. So thank you so much again, Betsy. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, make sure to subscribe and follow this podcast. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe and like and comment and let us know what you got out of our interview today. Thank you so much. And everyone, we'll see you all soon.